very ambidextrous, so to speak. I can do a lot of things at one time.
From there, the poison goes to work on the central nervous system, causing severe muscle spasms, followed by the inevitable drooling. At this point, the entire digestive system collapses, accompanied by uncontrollable flatulence.
Will repeat you. Did you just see Maduro, Venezuela? It's
Until finally, the poor bastard is reduced to a quivering, wasted piece of jelly.
And I used to use Master Lock all the time. When I was a little child, I'd take Master Lock, I'd go and lots of nice little puzzles you put them.
All right, keeping an eye on this campaign event in Waukesha, Wisconsin.
Yeah, I'm still not sure what he was talking about there. Did anybody else play with Master Locks as a child?
What is he talking about?
I'm not sure. Anyway, guys, welcome back to the show. Unfortunately, due to last-minute scheduling problems, Coach D is not going to be able to be on today's show. However, we still have a great show lined up for you. Plenty of reference material to go over.
Yep.
On today's episode, we want to discuss a couple different things. One is Marjorie Taylor Greene's hilarious response to getting owned on the House floor by Jasmine Crockett, being called, I always have to write this down, bleach blonde, bad built butch body, or B6, as everybody has dubbed it. And then we also want to get into, we have proof of Donald Trump's racism, because Donald Trump has been recently trying to appeal to black and brown voters. And not only is it pathetic, but it's extremely racist at the same time. And we have something that Donald Trump, that Mike actually caught, that Donald Trump said. I just, because he was talking about something ridiculous, so I didn't even really pay attention to it. But Mike pointed it out. Something that apparently he has said a lot over the years, that is straight out of Nazi Germany. So
it's all coming together.
Get into that. Yeah, it's all starting to come together. So, before we get into some of this stuff, though, I do want to go over the caliber of people that were recently seen at the rally in the Bronx. We think we found Hitler at this rally. Okay, just hear me out. One of the things that MAGA has now is they have their own rappers. One, you have this guy who I like to call, is not his name, but his name is Forgiato Blow. I call him Fellatio Blow for obvious reasons.
I mean,
music's terrible. This guy walks around with a Donald Trump gold, whatever you want to call that. He's a MAGA poser, just an entitled white kid with a rich mommy and daddy who's not respected in the music industry outside of the MAGA bubble and makes complete shit music. The guy actually made a song where the lyrics were MTG is MAGA's MVP, and Marjorie Taylor Greene was in the video. I would show it. But every time somebody does, these guys get hit with a copyright violation. So, all right. So he was one of the rappers that was there.
Oh,
he's like the new version of Kid Rock. Pretends he's from the streets, but really I think his dad owned the Auto Trader magazines.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Anyway, it comes from a lot of money. The kid's never been broke a day in his
life. When you
life.
Don't have talent, you build up a persona in lieu of that talent, and that's what this guy's doing. If MAGA didn't exist, he would just be like sitting at home, I don't know, playing video games.
Right, he'd be a nobody, absolute nobody. Yeah, just unbelievable who the caliber of people that these guys attract. I'm sorry, but the next one really blew me away, and I'm not going to play the video because again, the music is copyrighted, so we don't want to get dinged for that. However, I was able to take some screenshots of a video they were making, black men and women wearing Blacks for Trump shirts.
2020.
And right, another one of those gold Trump medallions with the red hat. However, in the background appears to be
I mean, that could be Hitler.
Why that could be Hitler. I mean, he'd be old as hell, but I mean, seriously, why is Hitler in the back of this video wearing a Blacks for Trump shirt?
Like,
come on, guys, tell me that's not him.
The past 10 years have given us so many images that are historic and will be forever looked at and studied. And it's a different time period. Back in the day, historical images were of like big moments and events that shape the world. And now we're like, that is the craziest thing I've ever seen, and that dictates our politics. That's the difference between the photos of years past and now. Why was Hitler in that picture? Why was Hitler in that picture?
I gotta pull it up again because I was watching that video and I'm like, no, I did not just see Hitler. No, I did not. So I rewound it and I'm like, yep, he's in it. That's straight up him. But even if it was just like, why is a white guy wearing a Blacks for Trump t-shirt to begin with? Anyways, the amount of irony is just unbelievable. Okay. So let's get into some of the topics we want to talk about. Marjorie Taylor Greene's response to getting called out on the House floor. Finally, thank you so much, Miss Jasmine Crockett. We love you. I may low-key have a crush on you. If you ever want to be there's an open invitation, please hit me up or hit us.
I definitely have a political crush on her.
Yes. I may have an actual schoolboy crush.
That's fine.
I'm just throwing it out there. You never know what the universe will bring you. Okay. First, what I want to do is just kind of redisplay how awfully confidently stupid Marjorie Taylor Greene is. So this was a few months ago. Marjorie Taylor Greene was talking to, I guess, her constituents about wind and solar. And just listen to how she explains wind and solar. She thinks when the sun goes down that everything just turns off.
Yep. She thinks that.
We just say thank God for air conditioning. Let's talk about refrigerators. I personally like my refrigerator. I know you all like yours. What about washing machines and dryers? Lord, please God, don't make me scrub clothes in a bucket and have to hang them out on the line when we switch over to wind turbines and solar panels. I'm going to be really pissed off about that. I mean, how absurd is this? I like the lights on. I want to stay up later at night. I don't want to have to go to bed when the sun sets. It's so silly.
So, yeah, there you go. There you go. That's Marjorie Taylor Greene explaining wind and solar. Just to give you an idea, this woman is one of the most powerful women in the political world right now, which is absolutely embarrassing. I think Coach D hopped on, but I don't know if he's having connection issues or not. Let me see if he's able to hop on with us. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you see me?
Yep, you're breaking up on us, though. Looks like you got...
I think I am. Can you guys hear me now, or?
It's still choppy. It's still breaking up, unfortunately.
That's weird. Okay, give me a second. I'll hop off and hop back on. My fault on that.
No, it's all good. No worries.
Okay. I'll hop back on. I'll get better.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Yep. Okay,
right.
So maybe we'll have Coach D on after all. Hopefully we get the reception problems figured out.
Yep.
But no worries. So, all right. So next, what I want to talk about is where do we even begin? Okay, so here is her response. So her response to being called bad built butch body was to post this video along with this tweet on social media. So let me play this. Yeah. So response to saying your butch is to make a video of you being
well, all right, but like, let's be clear, because this is a very interesting thing to me. We're not saying that a woman doing weightlifting or working out is wrong in any way, shape, or form. Not at all. What we're showing is the hypocrisy of a woman who is a figurehead in a movement that thinks women should be demure, should be spoken only when spoken to, should just wear pretty dresses, and should stay at home and raise the children. So she's now boasting about what she thinks is a quality that her constituents would value in her when they don't. So who are you actually owning here? Who are you embarrassing? Are you trying to prove Jasmine Crockett wrong or right? Because again, I don't think you're smart enough, Marjorie Taylor Greene, to actually understand the insult that was levied upon you. And you're just proving it now. So
right. And she
tone
talks
it down
about
on
plastic surgery. I mean, I'm not, is she insinuating that Jasmine Crockett had plastic
probably
surgery in that?
Of course, that's what she's doing.
You know what I mean? It's just the utter ignorance is overwhelming. I don't know how she's made it this far in life. She's another person that's had everything handed to her entire life. Probably never had to make an actual tough decision, you know, how to put food on the table or how to pay the bills or anything like that, like normal Americans. And then she's out there running around, pretending like they represent the American people. You know what I mean? It's just
the irony is, in a lot of ways, she would have represented the American people if she actually stuck true to her origins. All right, she's someone who wasn't born with a silver spoon in her mouth. She developed this disease of the mind on her own. But
yeah, unbelievable. All right, Coach D is back. Let me see if we can get him this time. All right.
We good now?
All right, you're still a little choppy. Yep, you're frozen altogether now. Oh no, it looks this is not going to be our day as far as technical issues go. Gotta love tech problems.
Roll with it.
It happens when you do live shows. Apparently,
yeah,
stuff happens. You just can't. We'll get around it. No big deal. So here is Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oh, so getting into Trump a little bit, Donald Trump recently put out this. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Donald Trump recently sent out a fundraising email saying that Joe Biden was trying to assassinate him. So Donald Trump finds out this information. Of course, we went over this on the last couple shows. That is standard language. I mean, when you do execute a search warrant, it's not like you walk in and be like, "Hello, we're here to." Yep, we're not going to shoot you. We're just here to say hi. But yeah, it's not exactly how it works. So he sends out a funding raising email, and then Marjorie Taylor Greene jumps on the bandwagon and puts out this insane response. So she now wants to indict Merrick Garland, arrest him, put him in jail, all that stuff.
That's the problem, Dan. Republicans in Congress don't have a spine, because if they did, we would be impeaching Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland basically issued a kill order for President Trump. Nope. That raid on Mar-a-Lago should have never happened as a standard normal practice. Like they're claiming it's totally okay that they did that. It wasn't okay. Donald J. Trump is the former president of the United States and the Republican candidate for president this year in 2024. He should have never had his house raided. Melania Trump's bedroom raided. Barron Trump's bedroom raided, all of their personal items. They stole President Trump's medical records, his passports, and other important personal documents that President Trump had to get back. But here's
oh no, poor guy. All right, now Coach D is here. What's up, big guy?
Dude,
welcome to the show.
You and your viewers. I think the time of like Eastern Standard, and I think I messed that up maybe. Based off
okay. That's why the last message I meant.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We could go on, but
that's cool.
I do want to point out that I hate that they keep on bringing up that he went into the FBI raided their bedroom and touched her underwear and all that. Like they're projecting their own sickness on the FBI. Like who thinks of that? Oh, you know. What's his name on, Jesse Waters said that they were rumbling through Melania's underwear, bro. Like
that's what you would do.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
It's funny. You're right. Cause it's every time they make another claim, we already know it's projection. Every time they levy an insult or a charge, it's projection. But we're getting to the point now where every word out of their mouth isn't just a lie, but is 100% projection. They would do that because if we ran the country, that's how we would allow them to do it, or we would be okay with that, or we do it ourselves. Like, that's not what the FBI was there for. I hate to break it to you. I mean, in general, search warrants, especially one that would be given for this magnitude of a scenario, is not going to be just a toss job. Okay, they didn't go in there and just flip over the laundry. They didn't do that. And you know why they didn't do that? Because if they did, your people would have taken pictures of it.
I think it's funny because they inadvertently admitted that Melania has her own bedroom. Even Benny
That's true.
Johnson, right-wing influencer on Twitter, they're all like, "Oh, they raided her bedroom." I'm like, "Wait a second, hold up.
Hold
What
on a
happened?
minute.
That they're such a loving couple, family man, and has their own bedroom? Like, oops, did you just admit that?" Yep, you did.
No,
So anyway,
go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah. Since we didn't get to talk to you at the beginning of the show, I wanted to ask you, how's everything going with you?
Man, it's track season. Track season just ended, so now
Boy.
a lot more time. People think my name is just Coach D. I'm actually a coach, so
Right.
For a living. But so we just ended track season, so things are good. Things are good. I can't complain. Life is good.
And what state are you in again? I always forget.
California.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. So, all right. Next time I'll be more specific on the time zone. That could have been my bad too.
You know what's funny? Because Jeremy always reminds me to put EST like on our ads and stuff, just to be specific. That's funny.
Yeah, it's happened plenty of times before.
Yeah, it is what it is.
I'm glad you still were able to hop on. I'm glad you're here. So we have some good stuff for you planned, because we do want to talk about Trump's absolute pathetic and racist attempts to win over Black voters. And I know you've talked about this on like on TikTok and your other platforms as well. It bothers me that there's people out there wearing Blacks for Trump shirts. It bothers me that there are Latino people out there that are supporting Trump, even though he's talking about rounding them up and putting them in the camps.
As if he would wait and make sure they're one of the acceptable Latinos versus the not acceptable. Like you got to think this through a little bit. Donald Trump and his people are not going to differentiate between how dark, how light, which country, what time period. They're going to start looking and holding up that little paint swatch. And if certain people don't match, you're getting in that, I don't know what, train. I don't know where it's going to head.
It doesn't bother me at all that there are Black people who vote Republican. That doesn't bother me. There are Black people who are if you look at Trump supporters, generally speaking here, you're talking about, I don't know. For lack of a better word, are not the most intelligent people. So you're going to find unintelligent Black people as well, of course, right? There's unintelligent whenever. So what bothers me the most is that the people who are actually pretty smart, the people, some of these people that are running Donald Trump's, that are running his stuff, running the Republican Party, are actually trying to fool us into believing that there's an overwhelming amount of Black people who actually support this man, and that we don't see him saying, we don't understand what dog whistles like critical race theory and BLM and DEI are. Like, these people want nothing to do with Black people. They want nothing. And I listen, I try my best to really stop short at calling people racist unless they really show, sometimes to a fault, where I know a dog whistle when I hear one, but you know what? I'm going to wait until they say something more blatant. People are racist, period, full stop. There's nothing, the only they're even entertaining Black people is for votes. Donald Trump has never done anything, woken up one day and thought, I want to try to help out the Black community. No way at all. That some Black people believe that crap.
That full page ad he took out in the 80s and 90s pretty much tells you how he feels about helping Black people.
Yes.
So, but what I find go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I wanted to show Coach D this. If you can see this properly, but this was one of they made a music video. We showed this at the beginning of the show because I think this is hilarious. They're wearing Blacks for Trump T-shirts, but there's this particular guy in the background. See if you recognize him. This, I swear to God, I did not make this up. This is actual screenshots. Yeah, tell me that doesn't look like Adolf Hitler in the back.
Is that actually Hitler in the middle?
Come on.
What am I looking at?
Come on, tell me that's not him.
What's really kind of,
we live in.
Again, it's fascinating to me because all of this is manipulation of different groups of people to different degrees. There is such a thing as positive manipulation. It just sounds bad, but it's when you're exposing people to good ideas, you're influencing their opinion, to their way to thinking, their way they might vote. But what Donald Trump does, what the Republican Party does, is they assume everyone is a moron. And they especially assume that black people are morons because, they're racists. So they're looking at, just like you said, Coach, that that people aren't going to notice that not just the dog whistles, but the blatant examples of it. They think that if they just say, well, we said this, no one's going to pick up on all the other stuff that's been said. It doesn't work that way. The population that is against you, Donald Trump, is actually smarter than you. You're not going to win over people that are smarter than you.
Yeah, and when you say they assume people are ignorant, not far off. Like, I mean, the sad thing is, like, you guys you might have like MAGA type of people in your life. Yep. When you try to argue with these people over things, there's not an intelligent thing half the time coming out of their mouths. I mean, they will sometimes I wonder if they're just ignoring the obvious because it's tribalism, right? It's like, hey, I'm a Saints fan, right? You can't say much bad things about the Saints. I'm going to back them. You try to tell me Drew Brees ain't the best quarterback ever. I'll argue with you, even though he's only got one Super Bowl. But this is politics, and these people are doing that. Like, you don't need to be Donald Trump's biggest fan. You can like literally just move on in life. But these people, they're just his biggest fan, and they're not going to change. And sometimes I feel like, and honestly, not even sometimes, all the time now, it's not even worth trying to like change these people's mind. I love, I don't know if you guys ever watch Adam Mockler. Stuff. I love absolutely. That kid and what he does.
I don't know how he has the patience to do it.
Oh, no way. But sometimes when he's like, took me a while, but I changed this guy's mind. I'm like,
it's fascinating.
Yeah. It's like, but it's one guy.
I appreciate what he's doing because he is showing how at the core of this, despite someone's, let's just say, inherent intelligence or ability to reason, if you put the effort in, you could show and highlight how pure propaganda could take someone over. And if there's just a hint of choice, if there's a hint of different sides of an opinion, you might not have people fall to the dark side so easily. And it goes to show why the Republican Party is what it is, how hard it hammers down on its hate and its fear, because those are the two things that break any logic or reason in a person. Hate and fear. And if you get them to only think about that, all other possibilities will go out the window. So that's why what Adam Mockler does is he somehow gets them for a moment to just put it aside and think. And it's fascinating.
Yeah. And I think you make a good point too, that it's a lot of hate and fear. There are a lot of people that I know that are in my life who are like, they could be at a rally tomorrow holding a Trump sign saying that they would be the person Adam Mockler is actually interviewing. They would be that person. But then them outside of that on a personal level, and they're like good people.
It's weird.
They're good people. They're a good dad. They're good, and it's like, but how are you falling for this con job? And it's so weird. And I don't know if you guys have spent a lot of time on your show trying to like decipher or like, kind of get, but it's you never will, right? Like they'll be studying this for years.
Oh, we say that all the time, and it's not like a good study. Like I literally, just before you got on, I was saying, there are images we're seeing that are historic. You always look back at old pictures that captivate a moment in history. We don't get those pictures anymore. We're getting just images of the craziest shit you've ever seen because that's what we're dealing with. We're not dealing with a logic that got people to vote for Trump. We're dealing with the greatest example of propaganda short of Nazi Germany. I mean, we have people who will tell me on my Instagram how bad I suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. I'm not the one that is defining their life by Donald Trump. I take a lot of time out of my day to point out what a monster he is because I want to do whatever little I can to help this country. But you, as a Trump supporter, are making his existence your defining characteristic, not me.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it brings me to that. So I don't know if you saw the video. I did a video recently where I think Meidas put it up. I can't remember, but where Donald Trump, he says, we're going to have the death penalty for anyone who sells drugs.
Yep.
And then Bret Baier has him on, and Bret Baier's like, you talk about this lady that you pardoned, she was a drug dealer. She would be dead under your new rules. And he goes, well, Not really, because it would depend on the severity. And Brett Baer's like, you never said that though. Like you said, drug dealer equals death penalty. And he's like, well, we wouldn't go back though. She, that she did it. We wouldn't go back and kill. But like, you can't.
But he missed the point completely.
Yeah, he missed the point completely. That bro, like, you just say whatever you think is hot, but when you try to point that out, and you make a good point where you said, I just point out these things on my Instagram. It's not my identity. I point out, listen to Donald Trump said this, then he said this, then when he was in office, he did this. How do you explain that? And they will just go, dude,
but Joe Biden,
go get your third vax shot or whatever.
Hunter Biden's laptop or Ashley's diary.
No, but you're right. It's because we all know they have nothing in their arguments, but the people that are just in this cult, I hate saying it's sad because I don't know that I have actual sympathy for the MAGA that are left. There have been a surprising number of people that have woken up and have come to the realization that they were wrong in backing him. And those people, we welcome you with open arms. But if you're at this point 6 months away from this election and you are a diehard Trumper, I don't have sympathy for you. You have had all the opportunities, all the evidence is laid bare, and you ignore it for conspiracy theories to back up your ignorance and your fear. And I'm not going to argue with someone. That's why, and Jeremy and I do it all the time on people on Instagram, like we just poke them. I have a lot of good followers that will attack them for us, and it's fun to watch. But even then, eventually, it's just a bunch of people poking these morons, and they're like, "You're spending all your time defend," and we're like, "No, you're on my Instagram page at like 3:30 in the afternoon ranting about Donald Trump. That's not me. I'm not doing that."
Coach D, did you see the recent reporting where Donald Trump says he would commute the sentence of the guy that ran the Silk Road website?
No.
Like, come on.
You know what for anybody that doesn't know what the Silk Road was, it was a dark web drug organization where you could literally order drugs off the internet if you had the correct access. And apparently Donald Trump says he would commute that guy's sentence.
Like,
and why? What's his
who is he appealing to? Who is he appealing to say that?
Yeah.
Well, it's just like he says that the attorney general in New York should go and go after murderers and rapists and gang members. Well, Donald Trump had Brooklyn rappers accused of murder on stage. Rappers Chef G and Sleepy Hollow indicted last year as part of an investigation into a vast murder conspiracy by two Brooklyn gangs.
Jesus Christ.
And one guy, he's out on $1 million bond right now, and that's who Donald Trump has representing on the black community on stage.
Amazing to me.
He's
amazing.
Out on $1 million. Yeah, it is. It's insulting because the guy literally posted bond a month ago. I don't know his case or how, whatever, but the guy was in prison for like 14 months. He had Lawrence Taylor on stage.
Yes.
He is literally right now a registered sex offender.
Yeah.
If you read the charges and what he admitted to, he even brags. He said, I get hookers all the time. I don't check their IDs. You had that guy on stage and welcomed his endorsement with open arms. And when you say this to your MAGA friends, bro, this is the Protect the Children party. This is the Save the Children. Remember hashtag Save the Children. He had a literal registered sex offender, and they back it. Oh, go get your third vax, bro.
But this goes to specifically what we've been talking about more and more recently. I don't want to say it's been a focus, but it's something we've been like peeling the onion back on. Is he thinks truly his racism is so deep, and I actually am going to go beyond that. It's racism. I think it's more than that. But his racism goes so deep that he thinks, and he said this, he's appealing to black voters if he literally hangs out with criminals. He said, me getting indicted, Donald Trump getting indicted is going to get me closer with black people because you guys have been, the law and shit. Like that's where he is. That's where Donald Trump is he's saying, I'm a criminal. And since you guys are most likely criminals, vote for me. The racism, the assumption of people being anything like him. he's a criminal all his own. We've never seen anything like this. There is no one that relates to you on any level. So don't try and be a racist by saying, hey, you who've been affected by unjust, drug laws and unjust social society laws, I'm like you. No. Are you appealing to the criminals who are real criminals, or are you appealing to the black people who suffered at the hands of a system that's been screwing them for a long time? Because Donald Trump, my friend, you aren't smart enough to know the nuance in that. So who is he appealing to? The criminals. That's all he's appealing to.
And when Colin Kaepernick kneeled because of these things, you didn't say, hey, let's listen to him because, black people have been persecuted unjustly in this country. No, what did you say? You said, get that son of a bitch out of here.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. You wanted him to lose his job for just basically having a silent protest to get you to just consider that things were happening that needed to be paid attention to. There was no, they don't, it really, when you say sad, I have to agree. I say the word sad, and it's probably because I haven't thought of a word to replace it, but it's sad when I have to hear black people support this dude, when I hear the few that do support him, and I'm like, this guy wants nothing to do with you. I'm literally about to make a video right now because of Byron Donald's last little thing he did where he's talking about you guys. You guys were talking about this when I first hopped on, was saying that Biden was going to assassinate him, right? So Byron Donalds was asked on CNN about that, and he would not address it. He kept on kind of going around it. And my thing is like, Byron Donald, do you realize, bro, as soon as Donald Trump is either elected or not, you become Herschel Walker. You become, what's his, I'm going to forget, Herman Cain. Like, that guy died of COVID, and he doesn't even get a mention from Donald Trump. Like, all of you guys become those people because they don't want you. Tim Scott, bro, there is not there's not a place in Trump's cabinet for you besides some lower level area. Like, they made freaking, what's his name, a world-renowned damn surgeon, a damn HUD secretary. Like, bro, they don't want it. It's so funny to me. It's sad,
I find it,
and then
I just don't understand it. But
no, here, let me play. He had went to an NRA rally. I think it was a week or two ago.
Yeah, something like that,
where he bragged about not doing anything about guns. He was very proud to admit that he did absolutely nothing about guns. But there was a couple of statements that he made. One was he thinks he's done more for black people than Abraham Lincoln. Let me play this real quick.
Honestly, there's been no president since Abraham Lincoln, and perhaps in a certain way, including Abraham Lincoln, but there's been no president since Abraham Lincoln that has done more for the black individual in this country than President Donald J. Trump. There's been nobody, not even close.
What I find funny is it's, again, a perfect example of, let's say, undereducated people. People need to understand that, Lincoln has his place in what he did for not freeing, let's say what it is, ending the practice of slavery in this country. But that wasn't like his only motivation. So when Donald Trump is trying to use that as a sticking point, to me, someone who tries to research the truth of things, it doesn't hold as much water, because it's not like Lincoln was putting on this giant flag that said the only reason we're doing this is to free slaves. He was trying to keep the country together, and he knew the only way to do that was to take that power away from them, and he did it. But Donald Trump, point to what you've done. You don't just get to say that you've done more. Point to what it is. Again, was it that large ad calling for the death penalty for 5 black kids who didn't even have a trial yet? Was it all the times that you've kicked out black families from your apartments that you owned with your daddy and your grandpa who were also racists? The history of the Trump family is not one of altruism and kindness to the black community. So now when you had a presidency under your belt and you did nothing to help black people, don't start now name dropping Abraham Lincoln and saying you're better than him. Where's the proof, bud? Is it coming in 2 weeks like everything else?
Yeah. And I would love for, this is the problem with journalism today, is that Donald Trump gets to say those things and no one says, hey, could you give me a couple of examples? I mean, it would be that
Right.
easy, right? Okay, give us a couple of examples, because you know what he would say. Oh, the lowest unemployment rate.
Yeah.
And we would say, well, it's lower now, Donald Trump. Like, and I'm so tired of. I don't even give presidents the credit that people try to give
No.
presidents. Like, if you understand economics in this country, you know a lot of things are cyclical. You know there are a lot of moving parts that cause unemployment to lower, the stock market to rise. Like, no one, I don't think the people who are a lot of times in charge of these things even know how these things happen. So to run around saying I lowered the black, how? What did you do?
What policy?
Yes, exactly.
Right.
That's what I always ask people. Name the policies. When they say, oh, my gas price, name the policies that Donald Trump, put out there that caused your gas prices to be lower. No one knows how to say that. And I can almost bet you this too. The world is so weird right now. Donald Trump controls these MAGA so much. If Donald Trump came out tomorrow and said, we're going to give reparations to black people, the MAGAs would cheer it on.
Yep, 100%.
Because that's just what they do. And I think, honestly, at this point, there are some black influences in his life, because I feel like Donald Trump sometimes just spitballs, like, the whole thing with, pardoning Lil Weezy and stuff, right? I think those are things that people are like, hey, you should do that. And he's like, screw it, let's do it. I think someone should say, hey, you should give every black person like $10,000. And he might go, screw it, let's do it. And the MAGAs would be like, look at what Donald Trump is doing for black people. Because they don't, at this point, they don't really care what's going on. They just care if Donald Trump says it, that's all they are going to be with it. Yeah.
They just want Trump to win.
Exactly.
Trump. If Trump wins, we win. How? Well, if he wins, we win. Yeah, but point to how.
Let's remember, this is a guy that thought he would appeal to black voters by bringing out a $400 gold sneaker.
Bro.
The guy's a name. The guy's a brand. He's not a president. He's an idiot. Like, how do people just not see through this? It bothers me. It really bothers me. Like, we're going backwards. We're going backwards in the country with leadership like this.
To stuff you've said, Jeremy, a bunch of times, right? Like he has always said, or people vote for him and they're like, I speak for the people. They sound like me, or he sounds like me, or whatever. And that's true. And I believe it. These people identified in him the same hatred and ignorance and insecurities that they have. And they are assholes. I'm sorry to say it. They are people who are probably inherently racist. They are people who have no respect for anything other than the shiny thing that means you won more than your neighbor. That's what they are, and that's what Donald Trump represents. That's why they love him.
And people are showing themselves to be that. Like, again, I try my best to not call people racist. I try to wait for them to show me more, because I always want to be careful about that, because it's a real word, And I've always said, you could be a Republican and not be racist. I think some people are like, hey, I consider myself a black conservative years ago, right? And it was more because I was thinking about, like, oh, my taxes and all this stupid stuff.
Exactly.
Right? Things I don't even want to admit these days. But to me, I don't think you can be a hardcore, I got shirts and decals and flags in my house Trumper without being racist.
No, there's no way.
There was a girl, and I did a video on this on my TikTok, and I'm going to put it on my Instagram soon, but I'm changing it because I'm going to call her out now. I'm going to call out her name of her business, and everything, because it's egregious. I grew up with her. She's a big time Trumper, pretends to love me, my family, and everything. I heard her on a video calling a girl's kids the N-word. I called her out on it. She admitted to it and said, I was just really mad. I've never been racist toward you, and blah, blah, blah. And it took me so long of talking to different people, different friends, of like, how should I approach this? Because I don't want to be the guy who exposes people and uses their name. But there have been more things that have come out since this. And my spidey senses have always told me that you cannot be this hardcore with all of these shirts and flags and all that and not be partially racist. And I just tried to ignore it with her because I've known her since the 8th grade. You're talking 30 some odd years of knowing someone. And she showed me that she, like, when I say calling someone's kids the N-words, I'm saying she said the word hard he are. And then when called out on it, said, I'll say it again. Yes, they are the N-word. And what are you going to do about it? And this is someone to me who, when you talk about Trumpers, like the flags all the time and Q stuff and everything like that. And I know you guys are probably thinking, bro, how did you not know? Because I've always tried to give people the benefit of the doubt. And now I'm starting to learn, no, like there's no way you can be a hardcore Trumper and not be partially racist. It's just impossible.
What's really interesting to me right there, that's a perfect example of the cognitive dissonance. There's a very large, now I don't know this person, this is the first time I'm hearing this story, but I guarantee you she would pass a polygraph. I know we're all laughing about that. If you said to her, are you racist? And the reason she would pass that is because she would probably look at her relationship with you. And I'm about to go one step further, and this is where it gets gross. In her mind, she probably goes, yeah, but he's not one of those types of black people. So she doesn't, right? She's one of those racists that loves to say, and this is something I had to unlearn. When you say you don't see color, you're full of shit. You're supposed to see the color and recognize that it doesn't matter. You're supposed to see it, not see it. So that person is probably in some way, when she speaks to you and thinks about it, goes, oh yeah, but he's not like one of those. And that's where you get people, like you said earlier, Coach, that they're MAGA, but then you can just like take them out of that and have a good conversation with them, because humans are not black and white. We have the capacity for complexity. And this is one of those examples where you could still struggle to see the good in someone. But if you support a movement that embraces and champions racism, you have to be okay with a certain level of racism, full stop. And that's all there is to it.
This is a good part of the show. I think we can get into. This is what we really wanted to discuss.
Oh boy.
Was a statement that Donald Trump recently made. And Coach, if you can get the guys at Meidas to talk more about this, because I had Mike do a little digging and he found some stuff. At first, this is just a video. He's trying to explain to his people that he's smart because he has a relative that used to go to MIT or used to be an MIT professor. But there's something in that speech that really scares me. Yeah, so it freaked us both out. Let me just play this video real quick.
I mean, look, even I say to myself, you're a freaking genius. Hey, look, I had an uncle, my father's brother, who's the longest serving he's the longest serving professor in the history of MIT. He graduated, he was a phenomenal student, a real genius, really brilliant guy. And you know, I believe in the racehorse theory. Fast horses produce fast horses. He went to...
Okay. So, yeah, I don't know if you picked up on the part that we're talking about, but it's when he's talking about the racehorse theory. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, that's very Hitler-ish. And I'm going to let Mike get into a couple overlays that he made, because what he's talking about is eugenics. He's talking about breeding. Because Hitler thought you could breed a master race. That is exactly what Hitler thought. And that's exactly what the racehorse theory is. So, Mike, if you could just kind of explain what eugenics is real quick and go over some of the history with us.
My first comment before it is I've been looking at this whole thing from the eye of not just the attempt to prove that one race is inherently better or that you can inherit positive traits and superior traits, but that the opposite is assumed to be true, then that there are people who are genetically meant to be inferior, subservient, and we all know how that would look like. So first things first is you need to know Donald Trump believes that he is born as smart as he'd ever be because he says so himself. You're going to say, what do you mean by that? Well, let's first understand what eugenics is. Eugenics is a set of beliefs and practices that aim to improve the genetic quality of a human population. Historically, eugenicists have attempted to alter human gene pools by excluding people and groups judged to be inferior or promoting those judged to be superior. Well, why is this important? Because Donald Trump has believed his whole life that you are born in a better position due to your genes, which is implied race, or not. Well, He said there is good blood and bad blood, superior blood and inferior blood. This person wrote, Fred Trump taught his son that their family's success was genetic, reminiscent of Hitler's creepy faith in eugenics. This is from 1988, an interview with Oprah Winfrey, who Trump was then seen merely as an eccentric New York real estate developer, alluded to his belief in the racehorse theory of human development. Adherents of that theory believe that there are inherently superior men and women, and their offspring will then turn out to be genetically superior to others. Dowd observed that he resurrected that theory during a 2020 rally in Minnesota. So again, Donald Trump believes that he was born perfect, basically, and his line is perfect. Well,
he thinks he's genetically superior.
Genetically superior. Yeah. This comes back in a 2007 CNN interview with Larry King. Trump says, you can absolutely be taught things. Absolutely. You can get a lot better, Mr. Trump told Mr. King. But there is something, the racehorse theory. There is something to the genes. And I mean, when I say something, I mean a lot. 3 years later, Trump would then tell CNN that he was a gene believer, explaining that when you connect two racehorses, you usually end up with a fast horse, and likening his gene pool to that of successful thoroughbreds. Guess what? 2019, Mr. Trump said that a person's genes at birth were a determining factor in their future, more so than anything they learned later, which goes to show you why Donald Trump doesn't believe in education and doesn't believe he can be told anything, because he believes he inherently just has the most brilliant thoughts. Well, in 2020, Trump preached white supremacy to Minnesota. You have good genes, you know that, right? Trump told a mostly white crowd of supporters in Minnesota on September 18th. You have good genes. A lot of it is about the genes, isn't it? Don't you believe the racehorse theory? You think we're so different? You have good genes in Minnesota. And now when he talks about immigration and the people coming in who are dirtying up the blood, he specifically has said Sudan, Pakistan, India, China. He leaves out all the ones which have historically majority populations of, quote, white people. Donald Trump is, Coach, you don't have to say it, but I'm going to say it, a clearly devout racist. He believes that his genes, which are white and German, are superior to everyone else's genes, and that his kids, simply by being born of him, are as potentially perfect as he was. I mean, he's laying out his racist beliefs, and those beliefs align perfectly with Project 2025, Christian nationalism, white nationalism, all of those horrible things that used to somewhat simmer underneath and are now taking over our streets and marching proudly. That's due to Donald Trump's inherent racism. He will always side with the worst element of our country because he believes it, truly.
Yeah, and this goes to the fear thing, right? He talks about this a lot. Like he talks. I mean, there was a time where he talked about people going into suburban neighborhoods, like, these people going into these suburban neighborhoods, and I'm going to protect you guys. From these people, like it was like he does appeal a lot to your white, soccer mom type of people living in a middle class neighborhood and stuff like that. And what's scary about this is that they eat it up. Like these people are in fear. They are in fear. They do fear. And these aren't new things, right? Black people could tell you years ago of someone crossing the street or locking their door. So now he's just kind of feeding that more. And we have historically gone through these things, when they talk about, that song, Try That in a Small Town, right? When they show videos of like, the couple videos they have of Black people, going into a jewelry store and stealing something or whatever, I don't know if you guys remember back in the day, I talk about this a lot, the knockout game. There was like 3 videos of a Black person had like hit someone, but they re-looped those videos all the time, and they had, suburban white people thinking that Black people were all in on this game of just going around and hitting white people.
Like that's real.
Yes, there are historically in this country, politicians like Donald Trump bring these things up. They do it subtly, but overtly enough that the people get the message, but not overt enough that it sounds the alarm enough to people to say, hey, we need to rid ourselves of people like this. Like we don't want these people in our politics. We don't want these people running our country because they do this all the time. And it's like Donald Trump is just, he's kind of like pushed the envelope a little bit more. And what's sad here is now you have people, Indians like Vivek Ramaswamy, who, dude, they will toss you in the trash as soon as anyone else. But now he's taking the Donald Trump playbook and putting a brown face on it. And it's really, really scary.
He had Ann Coulter on his show. Was it Ann Coulter?
Dude, yes.
And she's like, I won't vote for you because you're Indian. And he's like, you're right.
I don't understand how some of these people look themselves in the mirror when they wake up in the morning.
Yeah, but all this is it is so acceptable in this country to be a white racist, even now in 2024, maybe more so than in the last 50 years. But you're talking about people that will debase themselves to let's just say validate racism in a way that I feel like we've never seen it before. People are just not even saying it with the side eye anymore. They just believe it. And it's getting really gross. And I don't know what to do about it. You have Marjorie Taylor Greene. The whole thing in Congress was her crying white woman tears as she gaslit Jasmine Crockett. Like that was literally, I keep saying we watched in real time. It wasn't a cut together video. You watch the whole thing. It's like 3 minutes and you see a white woman gaslight a black woman, then cry crocodile tears when the Latino woman is defending the black woman, and then the whole Congress goes, whoa, black woman, don't get angry. What the hell did I just witness? What did I watch?
That was the thing that pissed me off the most about that whole situation, because they immediately cut that video and painted Jasmine Crockett out to be the stereotypical, you know what I mean, like the angry black woman on Twitter. That's exactly what they did to her on right-wing
But that's what they were intended to do. I'm not saying Marjorie Taylor Greene formulated this whole plan to get a soundbite from Jasmine Crockett. What I am telling you is their plan is to gaslight people because they live in their own delusion where they don't even know where to stop anymore. So they know that if they keep pushing everyone in the Democratic Party, some people are going to have enough and fight back. We're starting to see the Democrats fight back, and I don't think the Republican rhetoric machine is doing a good enough job to seize on those instances from their end. I think the Democrats are winning over the narrative because people saw that whole thing and were like, wow, that was pretty racist. Like it's not working. It's not working for them anymore.
Yeah, and you guys are absolutely right. The way that cycle that we saw of her, saying what she said and then getting offended that someone basically retaliated. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like, how dare you say such mean things about me? What are you talking about? We're in a fight. Like if we're in a fight, and you're trying to choke me, I'm gonna do more to you so that I can. Right. And it was just like, and Jasmine Crockett, I love her because
she's amazing.
She has, and I honestly wish I think she needs to mention even more. I am a highly, way more successful and comparable person and way more set for this position than Marjorie Taylor Greene is. Like I have a Juris Doctorate. I have actually litigated. This woman lifts weights in her garage. That is all she has. And she gets to go around and say, MAGA, MAGA, MAGA. She is just literally, you want to talk about living off the fumes? Marjorie Taylor Greene is living off the fumes of Donald Trump. Her whole playbook is that I have to continue this MAGA BS because that's why people like me. That is it. And it's absolutely sad. And man, like we sit here and we can joke about this and it's fun and all that stuff. But when you really think about it, it's actually kind of scary.
It's
because
terrifying.
These people run our country.
It's terrifying
Marjorie
to me
Taylor,
because it's terrifying because you look at, again, and I'm going to bring her up again because she is one of the focuses of today's show, Marjorie Taylor Greene's, the ease at which she just insulted Jasmine Crockett and the ease at which she turned on the tears and the ease at which she just turned up the gaslighting. Again, that's a remnant of beautiful, perfect American racism. You black person need to listen to what I have to tell you, but you don't get a right to speak up to me. It's this condescending, despicable attitude, because it's no longer just racism. This is the same type of mentality they have towards the LGBTQ community, right? There's no difference because it's a hate thing. And this goes back to the racial purity. It goes back to the pure blood. These same people that think that white people are better than black people and brown people think that gay people are a twisted, demented mutation of some sort. So this belief in this purity, this belief in this superiority is becoming more and more a driving force in this election than I think ever before. Something Jeremy and I have been saying for months is they're going to start making it seem like illegal immigrants are going to vote. And guess what they're doing? They are pushing hard that these evil brown people are sneaking into our country and they're going to vote in the election. We got to make sure voting is only legal for it already is, guys. It's performative legislation that doesn't mean anything.
Let me play this last video I have before we get out of here, because actually he
really?
talks about how he thinks illegal immigrants are coming in and they're building an army of 29,000 people or something like that. But yeah, and then we have languages again. He keeps talking with the languages we've never heard of.
Yeah, languages, made up language.
Nobody speaks.
Well, Spanish, guy.
Spanish. Spanish, dude.
Some of the greatest days of my business career were in the toughest times, but I enjoyed waking up every single morning and go to battle. A lot of people say to me today, the toughest business people that you know about, could I ask you a question? How do you do it? I say, do what? How do you get up in the morning and put your pants on? Where do you put the pants on? I'll explain it to you someday. I think they're building an army. They had 29,000 people over the last. I think they want to get us from within. I think they're building an army. This is not, it's interesting. Did you see them? They all have
dangerous ass rhetoric.
In many cases, we don't even know
They all
the
have
language.
tents.
You have languages that people don't even know about. Our side is much bigger than their side. You see that? Much bigger. We're more quiet, much more quiet, but when we get going, we're much tougher.
Okay.
More quiet.
Dude.
I thought they were the loud majority. Are they more quiet or are they loud majority? Which one is it?
Wasn't that the same video where he talked about, because he said they all have tents, and he's like, have you seen all these guys? They're all like fit, and what is he talking?
I don't know.
Yeah, he's like, all these fit men are just walking into our country, and they're going to get us from within. You know how long? And here's the thing: they are praying, bro. They are praying for an attack. They want an attack in this country so bad because they would rather you and your family die so that they could say we were right than they care about actually protecting anyone. So they want an attack so bad. They want to be able to say, look at that fit, Chinese guy who came in and he did this, and they are so. And dude, you said video where he's like, Trump likes strong guys. Some people might like weak guys. And like, bro, like, what are we watching? This man is running for president.
Yep.
Like, you guys are great, dude. This was the best. I haven't done
we call it
good podcast.
We call it secondhand embarrassment.
Yeah, that's like
you're embarrassed for these people.
Yeah.
So it's actually really
look,
bad.
All I know is the biggest broken promise of Donald Trump's entire existence is I'm still waiting for a frickin' taco truck on every corner, because that would make this country a much happier place. And I firmly believe that.
Coach, thanks again for coming on the show. Sorry, we had some technical problems there.
My fault, man.
No, you're good. We're good. We'll get it right the next time. That's no worries, because you definitely have to come back on the show with us.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Let's do it again, man. I'll make it right on time, too.
That's all right. No worries. No
worries at all.
Our audience enjoyed. We had plenty of viewers, and I'm sure they enjoyed the show. So thanks again for watching, everybody. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Share the video if you can. We are trying to build something special here, and we can't do it without your support. We're not asking for any money. All we're asking is for some clicks from you, which I think is a reasonable request. So have a good rest of your day. Coach D, thanks for coming on the show. We look forward to having you on again. And as always, guys, we'll talk to you soon. Have a good rest of your day.
America's presidents have always brought something unique to the White House. From revolutionaries to businessmen to statesmen, their common thread has been clear: a commitment to the founding principles that make America great. Until recently, there was something else every president since World War II had in common. They all saw Adolf Hitler for the genocidal monster he was. All of them except one, Donald Trump. After 80 years of presidents who despised Nazism, Donald Trump became the first one to praise it.
They're poisoning the blood of our country.
It's sick. It's wrong. And the Republican Party is defending it. And if you're a Republican voter, it's time to ask yourself, is this who you are? Because if you're still defending Donald Trump, the answer is yes.